Anybody could find something they didn't like. Anybody could find a lot. It had really good border security. It was finishing the wall. I like the tax on university endowments, and tax on remittances is in there as well. Everything is in there. So it's hard to, it's not a lean, mean bill where you just get one ideological theme in it. It's got everything in it. And at this point, the president's prestige was predicated on it. And we know that the Democrats are not like Republicans. They don't have apostates. You don't see any of these votes where you get some old-fashioned centrist Democrat stand up and say, I don't know what's happening in my party. Maybe Fetterman, but there's no, otherwise they have absolute, complete control and discipline, ideological straitjackets. So it's very hard to defeat those people because any vote against your party aids them, and they're never going to do the same thing for you. It's just not going to happen. Even Fetterman's not going to vote for you.
Victor Davis Hanson just threw cold water on the whole political circus. While the left moves like a well-oiled machine, the right cannibalizes itself, trying to chase some fantasy of ideological perfection. The irony? Many of the so-called controversial policies, trade protections, immigration control, law enforcement, actually showed results. But the establishment didn't care. They scoffed, lied, and let their egos drive the narrative. Now, the same people who laughed at those ideas are quietly implementing them behind the scenes. But it's too late. Institutions are hollowed out, credibility is gone, and the game has become about appearances, not truth.
And I don't understand Rand Paul, especially. I understand where he's coming from ideologically. He does some great things, but he's a very smart guy. And when you put it on the ledger, the damage you do by voting against your own party on the most important bill of the year because of some of the things you don't like, versus the advantage that you accrue by not seeming a hypocrite or you'll be a purist. I don't understand unless he went to the president and said, I need to know exactly what the vote is. And Trump said, we have 2 extra votes with Vance, etc. And he said, well, can I vote against it to performance art, showboat? And he said, okay, this time. Maybe they did that with him. I don't know, but I don't know why when he would agree with 70% of it, why they go with the 30% they don't want, given the opposition they have. Doesn't make any sense. In the pursuit of the perfect, you become the enemy of the good. And he's never going to get what he wanted. There was no chance in blank blank that he was going to get, given his libertarian propensities, he was going to get a bill he wanted.
Right.
And there was zero chance he'd get anything in it under a Democrat. So I guess it's just rebranding himself as the maverick libertarian that he thinks serves a role in keeping everybody honest fiscally. That's all I can come up with. I don't know what his point is. He said Medicaid or something for rural people.
Yeah.
But if you look at most of the Medicaid cuts, they are cuts against, in the bill, people who are not working, who are able-bodied, or illegal aliens and things like that. It's mostly waste, fraud, and abuse. It's not gutting the Medicaid program. Here in California, we call it Medi-Cal, and it's devouring about a third to fourth of the 40% of people citizens are on Medi-Cal, and 50% all the births are on Medi-Cal. And he just announced there's no money left, so he can't do his favorite constituency. He can't serve them illegal aliens, which he bragged that he gave $500 million to for Medi-Cal.
Yeah, remarkable.
But he's a clown, so you can't talk about him in normal terms. There were so many things. I don't want to criticize the Doge people, but they were talking about $1 trillion in cuts. There was no way that was ever going to happen because they were not allowed to look at Medicare and Social Security and defense, and that was not going to happen. And I said on this show and on other venues that if you start giving tax cuts on tips, on Social Security, and they mentioned first responders, they have to be balanced by reductions in spending, and they weren't commensurate. I do give him credit that the tariffs have brought in more revenue than anybody had thought. I don't know if that's going to continue, but they're bringing in a lot of revenue, not as much as it's $1 trillion, maybe over a decade, but not nearly in a year or two. So they need to go back, as I said, and go back to the Simpson-Bowles deficit reduction plan. It's there. It's 3 tax brackets. It's going to lead to a balanced budget in 5 years, so they could just resurrect it. Obama created it, and they came back and said, we'll have a balanced budget. Had we followed that Simpson-Bowles during the Trump first term and continue it to the Biden, we'd be, I think, something like we would have a balanced budget, but we would only have we would have a deficit about $6 or $7 trillion. And what Trump is railing about is $3 billion a day in interest. So he's mad at the Federal Reserve because if they would go down from, say, home mortgage rate, but I mean, whatever the Fed's actual rate is, 4.5 or something, down to 2, we'd save $1.5 billion a day. And that would be, a third of $1 trillion. That would really help. But when you start having deficits, then they have the argument that deficits are by nature inflationary, even though we haven't had inflation. One of the things that was really weird about all this is that this May, June data came out on trade. I mean, it was almost like every single PhD and economist in the Wall Street Journal, everything they wrote in May was wrong. And that guy named, Sloak, he was Tilson Sloak. He was the Apollo investment manager director. And he said, was Trump right and we were wrong? And he pointed out that he made a lot of good points, that when you have these huge foreign concerns like Germany and Japan and South Korea and China, and they want that U.S. market, and they are making fantastic profit margins, they may want to absorb the cost of the tariff to remain competitive, and they still will make money because they're making some, and nobody had really talked about that. And then when they had said, when you get rid of illegal aliens, and 1 million, almost 1 million of self-deported, which they said was impossible. Nobody will self-deport. I remember reading that a lot. But then the point was that we have the lowest crime rate. Did you see that in New York? In years, and it might be the lowest in history at this present rates by next year. So if you take 500,000 criminals off the street that are estimated to be among the 12 million illegal aliens and get them out, then you're going to have lower crime rates, and you're going to have a lot of people off the books who are working off the books for cash at substandard wages, and you get them off, then maybe people will be looked to be hired that are U.S. citizens.
In this video, Victor Davis Hanson delivers a sobering critique of modern politics, exposing the dangerous cost of ideological rigidity and elite hypocrisy. I believe he's right to point out that while Democrats march in lockstep, Republicans self-destruct chasing ideological purity, even when it means killing a bill that could have delivered real results. His frustration with the so-called experts, from economists to academics, is justified. Many seem more focused on opposing Trump than telling the truth. What struck me most is how many of Trump's policies, once mocked, are now being copied quietly. Hanson isn't just angry, he's warning us, and frankly, we should be listening.